Hello, the Buffalo Bills walk all over the Seahawks in Seattle yesterday. Awesome game. Before the game, I told you the key to the game was for Cook to have a good game because I didn't feel like the Seahawks could stop the Bills' running game. He went off, I believe, 112 yards, 2 touchdowns. Awesome game. And then that they needed to stop Walker, Kenneth Walker, their running back, in order to make the Seahawks one-dimensional and have to go to just their passing game. And without Metcalf, you could see that. And you know what? They certainly did that because Walker only had 12 yards rushing, I believe. Wow. That's crazy. Kenneth Walker, I think, just a fantastic running back. I loved him coming out of college. And to be able for our defense to shut him down that much, then the Bills must have really had it going on the defensive line. And those were the keys to the game. Have a running game, stop the running game. Awesome. Where else did the Bills play well? Well, the screen game. Are we going to add that to the offense now? That we can throw screen passes? Especially Shakir. That guy's so hard to bring down. It'd be awesome to have him now involved in screen short passes and be able to then get the yak yardage afterwards. Keon Coleman had a very nice game with 70 yards receiving and a beautiful touchdown catch over Tariq Woolen, and that was fantastic to see him do that. The offensive line, fantastic game. If you have a running back that goes over 100 yards rushing and have a receiver in Shakir that goes over 100 yards receiving, then the offensive line must have had a great game, and they did. Great job by our offensive line. I know a lot of people are wondering why Amari Cooper, our new number 1 receiver, did not put up big stats during this game. But you know what? It's because, and I think it's because, I hope it's because, I haven't seen broken down film of it yet, but I really think that it's probably because he was drawing the double coverage, which then leaves Coleman in single coverage and Shakir open. Worked fantastic. Kincaid got involved a little bit. He had the touchdown on tight ends day. I am doing okay, Carter. How are you doing? And that's fantastic. Tight ends day. Just a fun little thing in the football now. Started out there in San Francisco. And then we move over to our defense. How did the defense play? The defense had a very nice game. After Josh Allen gave up his very first interception on the season, which I really don't think was his fault, Cooper slipped a little bit, and it caused the ball to just be a little bit too forward, and the Seahawks player intercepted it. Yes, I just see that some people are coming in. I ask you to like the video if you could, and subscribe. I can't wait to see some more subscribers on our page, and I can't wait for Sunday's game versus the Fish. So the defense as well. The defense shutting down that running game. Fantastic. The passing game, they do have other receivers there. Tyler Lockett is a very good receiver. They shut him down. And, when they gave up that interception I was talking about, they started like the 4-yard line. And Josh Allen made the tackle to down at the 4-yard line. And then you think they're going to score. Well, they end up getting no points, I believe. Well, a field goal out of that. And then they had another drive inside the 3 where they ended up with no points. And, on the 4th down play, he tripped over the guard that was pulling. He tripped over his leg. And here's a question for everybody. Why does Greg Rousseau, not get a sack when the quarterback was going backwards in the backfield and fell down and he put his hands on him to down him? I think that should go in the stats as a sack. But, maybe someone in the comment section, either now or in the video or later on, can tell me why that isn't the case. Tyler Bass had another good game on special teams. Sam Martin had a good game. You know, special teams played well. The rain became a major, major factor in the game as it was pouring. And Josh let a ball even slip out of his hand, kicked it forward, and Ty Johnson recovered it. If he hadn't, Josh hadn't made the first down yet. It was a third and medium play, and then Ty Johnson recovers it, and it's a first down. But you know, if that's in the last 2 minutes of a game, then it has to go back to where Josh fumbled the ball from the Holy Roller Raider play, where in the last 2 minutes, remember, they had a play way back that rolled into the end zone on a fumble, and they recovered it in the end zone to win the game. So they changed that rule. So in the last 2 minutes, if a fumble moves forward like that, then it has to go back to where the spot of the fumble, unless it's recovered by the same player. So top 8 teams in the NFL. Let's take that question real quick. Who are the top 8 teams? Well, Buffalo's up there. Kansas City's the undefeated team, so they're probably up there too. I like the Detroit Lions for sure. The Minnesota Vikings have played well this season. The Baltimore Ravens really have played well until this week when the Cleveland Browns came in and surprised them with their new Jameis Winston quarterback as their starter got hurt. So what is that, like 5 or 6? A couple more good teams. Boy, you know, after that, it's San Francisco 49ers are a good team. They just had a lot of injuries. If they get their players back, they're going to really have a role here. And I think the Seahawks are a very good team. They didn't show it this week, but I think they are a very good team. So there you go. It does look like the Bills will be able to we didn't play the Patriots yet. The Bills will have the chance to win the AFC East because they are now 6-2, and everybody else in the division has only 2 wins. And the mighty New Jersey Jets sitting in last place right now after losing to the Patriots. Yes, Packers, that's another good team. And how could I forget the Texans? The Texans may win it all. They're a fantastic team. So yeah, very good point out there, USA 1984. Very, very good list. I like that list. And you know, the Eagles are a good team too. So I give that. There's my 9 teams. How about that? Back to defense for the Bills. We were missing Bernard. Hopefully he'll be back this week as we take on the Fish. He is one tough son of a gun, and anticipate seeing him back on the field soon. And then I don't think the Bills had any injuries coming out of this game, although I didn't know that they had any injuries coming out of last week's game except for Bernard. And then Carter got lost for the season as he had to go have his wrist surgery. I am not a big fan of Tyreek Hill. I know he's fast, but there's some ethical things around that I don't like him very much. That's just my opinion, though. We haven't lost to the Patriots, as I say again, because we haven't played the Patriots yet this year. The Bills' corners have been great this season. Love Christian Benford and Rasul Douglas, and pleasantly surprised by the play of Taylor Rapp and DeMar Hamlin at the safety position as well. All right, I'm not going to answer that again. All right, so if anybody else has any other questions on our team, though, I will take that. I love Justin Jefferson. What a great player Justin Jefferson is, and he brings the energy every week. Yes, I definitely want to get Matt Milano back. He will add a lot to the team, and I think he will come back this year because he does go to home games. I don't know if he's at the road games. They just haven't shown him, and I'm not there. But he has been at the home games, so I do think Matt Milano will be back before the season's over, and we will need him into the playoffs for sure. And speaking of players coming back, Von Miller, that was, I believe, his 4th game on his suspension. So I think he will be back this week as well. Although Groot and Epinesa have played well over the last few weeks at the defensive end position. Yes, and boy, what a game if you saw the end of the Washington game versus the Bears, which I was able to because the Bills game ended pretty quickly, and the Bears made some mistakes at the end of that game that really gave Washington even the opportunity to throw a Hail Mary. Like, why are you playing your DB so far back that you can pick up a long gain on the sideline and still have 2 seconds left to throw the Hail Mary? And then when you throw the Hail Mary, it'd be good if one of your defensive backs was paying attention to the game and not John with the fans. It was a fantastic game. It's funny. When you watch Bills games, most of them, you need a heart palpitation by the end of it. It gives you a heart attack. This game did not give you any chance of a heart attack. It was nice to actually have a week where the Bills showed that they can dominate a team, and the double dip really helped with that. But the double dip, where they scored a touchdown in the first half, the end of the first half, and then got a field goal on the drive in the second half. And the Broncos are having a good season. I don't know much about their quarterback, if Bo Nix is going to be it, but if he is, boy, they'll have a good year. They have a great defense. So the Bills come home this weekend to take on the Fish as Tua is back. But they had a heartbreaking game. Well, not heartbreaking for me. I loved it. But Arizona kicked a field goal with no time left on the clock and to beat them. And apparently that Arizona kicker has 3 game-winning field goals, and he's only been on the team for 4 weeks. So that's great. As the Fish will come to town, we will make a video later this week talking about the Fish and the other things that the Dolphins bring against us. Yeah, great to have Seahawk fans here. Appreciate you guys. I do have a few fans that I know that are Seattle Seahawk fans, and they have a Whatnot channel. I can't tell you the name of it right now because it escapes me, but you should check them out for sure. If you message me, I will let you know more about that. Here's a long thing. Yeah, the Baltimore game wasn't as much fun. I do think that getting Amari Cooper opened up a lot on our offense, and we didn't have him against them. And we try not to talk too much about that Kansas City game from a couple of years ago because Von Miller told us to burn the ship and move forward. It's hard to kick at Highmark Stadium. The wind swirls in there. So, yeah, we want to give Tyler Bass as much luck as possible because it's hard to kick in that stadium. But the Jets kicker is the one really struggling this year out of everybody. My favorite wide receiver is Khalil Shakir with the Buffalo Bills. He's coming up. He's hard to bring down, and he's going to be a star in this league, especially if the other teams try to double Cooper or Coleman, because you can't sleep on Khalil Shakir. My favorite player on the Buffalo Bills, though, is my boy, Dawson Knox, and love him very much. He's just a fantastic guy on and off the field. Shakir, you probably got Shakir pretty late in the draft, I would think, if you didn't even have to draft him. Somebody dumped him in our league, and I wasn't quick enough to pick him up. Love all the Mafia at the Seahawks game. Yeah, the Mafia did show up out there. Thousands and thousands of fans. You could hear it during the broadcast, too. Like, the Seahawks have that decibel level thing, which I think the Bills should get, that shows how loud the crowd is getting. I wonder what that thing was doing when the Bills were trying to make noise. That's great. Great news for you that you didn't even have to pick Shakir. He was free. That's great. Free agents are massive pickups when you can get a guy like that. Well, in the second half of the games. The Bills haven't come out that strong at the start of games, and that was one thing they really wanted to work on. And the offensive coordinator for the Bills, Brady, he actually said that he's going to tell the team this week that it's the third quarter when we start the game. So that seems to have worked. So we'll start the game in the third quarter and then play another third quarter after halftime. You're a Jets fan. You're done with life. Don't be done with life. It's football. It's football. It's, I know a lot of things that line up with football also line up with life, but life must go on. And I know you've got a lot of great things in your life to add to the world. So don't be done with life. Maybe just be done with the Jets and jump aboard the Bills train. uh, is Bears fan. I'm sorry for that comeback. That I know from when the Cardinals did it to us a couple years ago with the Hail Mary. It hurts when you lose on the last play like that. But life lessons learned there in that Bears game with that DB, again, not paying attention and during the play, and then actually being the one that tipped it up in the air when you're supposed to try to knock it down, and he tipped it up in the air, which made it easy for the Guardians player who's just sitting back there to catch the ball. Nobody boxed him out at all. So, and that's what the DB should have been doing instead of tipping the ball in the air. Chiefs fan, hey, everybody's welcome here. We love to talk about football. Obviously, I'm a big Bills fan, and I love to talk about Buffalo Bills football more than anything. I see 60 of you here in the room at the moment. So if anybody has any other questions on particularly on the Buffalo Bills or on football in general, I'd love to talk more about that. I guess nobody knows the rule of why Greg Rousseau wasn't able to get a sack there. The Broncos defense is what's going crazy. I love their defense. The Bills are getting their new stadium in 2 years. And all right, don't know what my internet's doing there, but hopefully you guys are being able to see me. Continue to be able to see me. The Lions are having a fantastic season, and I love that fact. I'd love to see Lions-Bills Super Bowl. That would just be fantastic, as finally one of our teams will win a Super Bowl trophy, a Super Bowl ring, if that happens. So that's what we'd like to see for sure. They're steamrolling everybody. I made a joke online that they are bullies this year. They are just knocking people out there. I hope the Bills do super, super, super good. The Bills. And, yeah. Ray Davis didn't get very many touches in this game. I think it's because Cook had such a hot hand. He was running so far. But when he did play well. And love Ray Davis, as we talked about before. Kincaid had those couple of catches, but with Coleman and Shakir going off, which, again, I think it had to be Cooper was double covered during the game because the defensive backs for Seattle are actually pretty good. They can't get a pass rush, and you could see that during the game by the two defensive line players for the Seahawks actually getting into a physical confrontation and fighting on the field. And then you saw the frustration of their quarterback when he threw the football after the play at Schmoot's head. And Schmoot wasn't even the one that pushed him a little bit late towards the sideline. It was Johnson. And he threw the ball at Schmoot's head. That's 15 yards. I mean, the Seahawks did a lot to shoot themselves in the foot. But the thing was, the Bills were shooting themselves in the foot too, as the Bills had a lot of penalties during this game. But somehow they kept overcoming them. On the very first drive that they scored a touchdown on, they had 2 holding penalties that cost them 10 yards. And, they were able to overcome those penalties and come back and get the touchdown on the drive. So, and the Bills showed attitude during this game. That's another thing I wanted to talk about. They're showing some attitude. Anderson, Spencer, and Deion Dawkins on the offensive line have really stepped forward to show some nasty attitude. And I think you have to have that on the offensive line. And it's spread to our wide receivers. In past seasons, I have had real trouble with the Bills wide receivers and tight ends that they don't finish their blocks and don't block well. And it really affects the running game. And this game, they did. The wide receivers and the tight ends blocked well. Keon Coleman even got the very rare blindside from the movie Blindside penalty of excessive blocking, as he blocked the guy so far into the bench that he got a 15-yard penalty for excessive blocking. The guy took exception to it and hit him back, so they were offsetting penalties. But, how often do you see, I don't think I've ever seen a wide receiver get a penalty for excessive blocking. I don't think I've actually seen excessive blocking called in the NFL before like that. But it happened in the movie, and now Keon has done it well. Maybe there were some cookies over there or something that Keon wanted to get to. I don't know. That's just a weak joke. Um, as long as Josh Allen is the quarterback of the Bills will have a good team. Josh Allen is a fantastic quarterback, and we are very lucky to have him part of the Bills Mafia. So, yeah, I love that. 65 viewers right now. At one point, we were over 70. I invite you all to like this video and please subscribe and hit that little bell notification button so that you will see the next time I go live and you can come in here. If you have friends that are fans of football or fans of, in particularly, the Buffalo Bills, please tell them about this channel. And if you do not like the Buffalo Bills or if you hate football, tell your enemies about this and hopefully they can come in and hate this content. Just want more viewers. So please subscribe to the channel. Please give me a like. Don't take away likes. Likes. We need likes. So, yeah. What else did the Buffalo Bills do? Sean McDermott loved our fans out there at the game. Josh Allen loved the fans. What a true blessing it was to have that many fans on the other side of the country go to a Bills game and show all the noise that they were doing and helping the team. But I am in a fantasy league. Started out weak. Lost my first couple of games, but I haven't lost since. We'll see what happens with that. I've had a couple of injuries, but, you know, it is what it is. I've won that fantasy league 2 of the last 3 years. So we'll see what happens with fantasy football. But really, as long as the Bills are winning, that's all I really care about. All right, go Bills. Go Bills. Yeah, you're living in South Carolina now. Boy, hope the hurricane wasn't that bad for y'all. How many more games? Von Miller, like we talked about that earlier, but Von Miller, I think, should be back this week. I think he's served his 4-game suspension and hopefully will be back against the Fish. Hey, we got a Fish fan in here. Can't wait for us to play. Hopefully it'll be a good game. It should be a good game. The Fish are a very good team, even though they've only won 2 games. I think the loss of Tua for a while there made a big difference. I am a fan that doesn't think Tua should be playing anymore. He's made the money, and after you get some of those concussions, you just keep rolling and rolling and rolling. And I've known some players that have had a lot of concussions in their career, and yeah, some players that have had those, and it doesn't work out well for them. But we'll see what happens here as they come into Buffalo. We did squish the Fish earlier this year, and Tua was playing in that game until the very end, and the game was over by that point. So hopefully, you know, that game goes well, but we'll talk about that more as we move forward in another video later this week. The Bills got back at like 1:30 in the morning. That's pretty good for a game that started at 4. I love Amari Cooper trade. He had a very good game the first game. After that first play he dropped, he ended up with about 60-some yards and a touchdown. And then this game, I think he was drawing the double coverage and opening it for Coleman and Shakir, which is what we want to see. Everybody eats. If you're going to cover one of our guys with 2 guys, expect the other guys to go off. Do I think the Bills would trade for anybody else at the trade deadline? That's a great question. I would like to see one more trade, maybe on the defensive side of the ball. As I said, Epinesa and Groot are playing well, and Von Miller's coming back, but would like to see one more player, maybe on that defensive line, or it's hard to know because you don't know where the injuries are going to come. But if Bernard's is hurt worse than we think, we need to get another linebacker in here. I'd like to have another linebacker anyway because I know that those guys take so many collisions. I'd like to have another good one. Not to say Williams hasn't played bad. He's actually played really well in the backup position, backing up Milano when he got hurt in practice. So, you know, people are talking about getting a guy from the Browns, but the Browns just won, so why would they trade anybody else? We'll see. The Steelers play, is that tonight? I don't even know. And then on the offensive side of the ball, I think we're set at wide receiver now. I like what Matt Collins is bringing at the number 5 slot. And if we can get back our injured receiver right there, Curtis Samuel, as you see the wall behind me. Those of you that aren't familiar, I have a wall with over 50 autographed players from the current team, players and coaches on the wall that I've been able to get myself by going to training camp every day and by going to every home Bills game as a season ticket holder. So, yeah, they play the Giants tonight. Yeah, the Steelers will win that. So, the Giants are like the team made up, half of the team is made up of former Buffalo Bills. So I like to root for them, you know, the Isaiah Hodginses and Devin Singletaries and those guys. But, yeah, they're just, the Steelers are the better team. I don't know if they've completely decided on who their quarterback's going to be as we move forward. But it looks like it's Russell Wilson. You're going to crash out. Even if they win, you probably crash out, won't you? Anyway. Oh, boy. Yeah, so we've been going for almost 30 minutes here. It looks like 26 minutes and 56 seconds. We got 44 viewers right now. Please give this video a like and subscribe. I need more subscribers to the channel. We're almost to 500 subscribers. If you could help me out, I'd love to at least break that mark here in the next few days. How was good with the Bills versus the Jets? You mean who was good with the Bills versus? I don't know what you're asking me there. That game was a couple weeks ago. In the Seahawks game, we've talked about who was good. Yeah, I think I've talked about most of the players I wanted to talk about from the Bills this year. So does anybody else have? I'll give a couple more minutes here to see if anybody else has any other questions on Buffalo Bills football, on the NFL at large, on any individual team. Love to just take your questions here as we go. The Jets, it's interesting. I don't think they shed or fired their coach. I thought he was a good head coach, Robert Saleh, and the Packers did too, as they have already picked him up to be on their staff. I think that was a bad move to make. I think you're making too many moves to try to make your quarterback happy and not worrying about how it affects the entire team. And, yeah, Rodgers does get everything he wants. And, I was going to tell you a story about the Bills, but I'm not going to. About a Bills fan, but I'm not going to. But if you try to cater to just one person, usually it doesn't help the whole picture of everybody else. Let's put it that way. Like if you get security to try to help one person, it doesn't help the game atmosphere of everybody else. Let's just put it that quick. Okay. Anyway, yeah. So you got to keep the total picture in mind. From what I understand, Adams is on his last year of his contract, and Aaron Rodgers is probably going to retire soon. So I don't know where that's going to leave the Jets in the future without both of those guys that they just added to try to take them over the top. And then they changed their coach, and they haven't won a game since. So, yeah, Jets. Jets. And yeah, so we'll see what happens this weekend. If anybody else has any other questions, we have almost reached the 30-minute mark. I intended this video to only go 15 minutes. So we're going to end it here at the 30-minute mark by making sure that everybody remembers. God loves you. God does love you. And so do I. And go Bills.